Welcome to Wicked Honest True Crime.
True Crime
True Crime
Fridays.
Fridays.
Yay.
Yep. So, we're going to start off with the disclaimer that we're going to do at the beginning of every episode now, just because this is a little bit of a serious subject, and we want to kind of start off with.
It's a very serious subject, and we're going to just discuss. Obviously, we're talking about the murder of Susan Taraskiewicz. Sue, she went by 27-year-old woman from Saugus, Massachusetts, that was found, worked at Logan Airport and was found in her car deceased. And the disclaimer, we are very respectful of this. This was not a light undertaking. This is something we are working on in real time. I'm writing a book with 2 retired police officers. They're very involved in this. I'm working with them. I shouldn't say they're writing the book. I'm working with them. And it's a very serious matter. The family, we want to be very respectful of. The case is still an active investigation. It's a cold case. Massachusetts State Police, Suffolk County, if you have any information, please contact them. If we are making any errors, or often things are going to, as I said, real time, things are going to come up. We are self-correcting, and please let us know if we're saying anything wrong. There's a lot of information coming in, and we're going to try to bring this to you and work through it. There's going to be people, but very respectful of people that want to remain anonymous, sources that we will never say their names anonymous, obviously, but we are also hoping we're going to have people on the show. We have a lawyer that's going to come on and dissect some documents. One of the police officers I know is going to come on the show, but this is the show, and we're going to talk about.
If there's anything that you come across, or you remember, or you want to say, you reach out to MSP. Obviously, if you come to us, we'll know the right avenues to take it to, as well. But that was one of the other things. So we decided, one of the things that we forgot to mention in the intro episode was Diane. This is really Diane's baby, as far as she's, I've known about this. I've seen the billboards, like we discussed in the last episode. It's something that happened around the place where I live, but I didn't know a ton about it. I was a junior in high school when it happened. So obviously, like, a very self-absorbed time, like, heard about it, but never really didn't really get into it too much. So I'm learning a lot of this things in real time. And I am hopefully going to ask some of the questions that maybe, if you've never heard of this case, or if you have that you might have some of the same questions that I have. So I'm looking at it from a little bit of a different perspective than Diane, who's kind of got case files and has been like a beautiful mind back there in the shed trying to connect all the dots.
Calm down. But it feels that way.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to start off each show too, after our disclaimer, with a little bit of a recap, and I'm going to see if I can get it all right and get all the facts right. And if I'm wrong, Diane can interject, and she can
as best I can.
She can correct me, and then we'll also go over some record corrections, which I don't believe we have any at this point from last week
as of yet.
So
let's get into it.
Okay. Susan Taraskiewicz, 27-year-old female from Saugus, Mass, 1992, was working at the airport. Went into work on September 12th at 11 p.m. She worked the night shift. She was a supervisor in the
crew
department, ramp department. We know that she was passed over for that role. She filed a grievance. She did end up getting that position. She was a go-getter. She was by the book, kind of black and white, right from wrong, trusted and authority type.
That's my
situation.
Interpretation.
Left at somewhere between 12 and 1:30, somewhere around there, to go pick up food for her crew, which was kind of not her regular role. We know she received a phone call we believe to her office.
We don't know,
We
but
don't know.
it's been reported in multiple areas that
Yeah,
she did.
she received a phone call. It's been reported that she received a phone call prior to leaving. She left, and we don't know where she was parked, but we assume probably not somewhere she had to shuttle, because that wouldn't really make sense for her to go if she had to shuttle to her car. She leaves to go pick up the food. The food is never picked up. We have some reports stating that the owner of Beachmont Roast Beef, where the food was called the airport because
Yeah,
it wasn't picked up.
Reports that I read that said that. I'm not sure if that's true.
Okay. So the food was not picked up, yet Sue never returned. There is she was punched out the next morning. Someone had punched her card, so it looked like she was there and punched herself out, which didn't happen. Someone punched her out. On the 13th, she was supposed to go wedding dress shopping with her sister, Debbie.
On Monday, yep, Debbie.
She did not show up for that. So some phone calls were made. There was also a phone call that came in from work asking where she was because she hadn't shown up for her shift. At the same time, a body was found in the trunk of a car at Bravo Automotive in Revere,
Yes.
right near Bell's Circle off of Route 1A. And
Lee Burbank Highway. Why is there always multiple names for these?
I know, and they're
Lee Burbank Highway, but
they're
1A.
slang words for us, I think. Bell's Circle. I don't know even where that came from.
Well, it is Bell's Circle, but there's where she.
But where is it Bell's Circle?
It never says that.
Right. There's no Bell's Circle. If you looked up Bell's Circle, you might be able to Google something, but
Actually, side note, I think Bell's Circle is named one of the worst.
It's one of the worst rotaries.
It's the number one worst rotary.
Because there's 17 red lights, 200 intersections. Every part of Revere meets there.
Anyone who drives into Bell's Circle goes, I'm going to.
That's where you need to take your kid when you're training them to get their license.
Oh.
If they can make it through there, they can make it through.
You just come in, you go, I have no idea what to do here.
The Bravo Automotive is up if you backstep from Bell's Circle where this big giant rotary is, if you come back, you can't, obviously, on that side of the road. But before you get to that rotary, it's kind of dark. It's set in the corner.
You're going north, and it's sort of dark in a corner. And there was multiple auto body shops there at the time, which I think there was Bravo and Alpha, which is what is it? Bravo, Alpha Bravo is radio. I don't know. They sort of complemented each other, but
yeah.
And there was a diner there.
Yeah, that's in that place in that parking lot. Some of the
very dark, not well lit.
Yeah, not well lit, especially at night. No lights up there. No traffic unless there's a traffic jam that backs all the way up to there. Very cool. You could get out of there real quick.
Sure.
So her body is found in the trunk of her blue Toyota Tercel.
You don't need to know. We're not grading you.
I'm doing pretty good.
Don't you think? Doing pretty good.
So that is where we kind of left off. We did discuss a lot of stuff surrounding the difference between today and then, because that's a huge thing that I think we need to really understand is we're working in 1992. It's so weird in 2026 to picture a world with no cell phones, no cameras. Excuse me. No cell phones, no cameras, no ring cameras, no tracking devices, no no internal.
It's absolutely wild when you're really going through this and sort of investigating this. And obviously I'm not an investigator. I'm a writer. I'm a nurse. I am a detective and I play one on TV.
Yeah.
It was always my dream.
Yeah.
To be, if a writer was always my dream. Nursing, I don't know where nursing came in.
Nursing was a means to it.
Yeah.
Nursing was
I love nursing, but
stable career.
Well, actually, that's not true. I just say that, but it's. I'm gonna be honest. It's
wicked honest. Still wicked honest, even though it's true.
It's true crime, but I've always loved anything investigative, and I was very disciplined. I almost joined the military, and I wanted to be a cop or a detective when I was younger too. And then I find as I'm doing this research that I'm fit.
It's a strong suit.
It's been some years, but I'm pretty good at this.
I think I said I utilized your services once or twice in some of my past relationships.
Yeah. Well, when you're and very different But it's funny how the same dopamine and surges and instincts kick in. I was
Yeah.
married to an addict and a cheater
Yeah.
in my first marriage, and there was a lot of investigation there.
Yeah.
So I am very
To be discussed on Tuesdays.
on Tuesdays we will discuss that. But it's the same sort of natural instincts.
Yeah.
I can just connect the dots very quickly. So I'm finding a lot of people. I'm finding a ton of people. I mean, you get social media and things, and
Well, and then again, there was no social media back then. There was
nothing.
So we're talking about a time where Revere was full of mobsters and fronts, and
gosh.
like we had discussed once. There was a Chinese food restaurant at the end of Revere Beach that you just didn't go in because you just knew it was a front.
Well, you did, and then you never did again.
Yeah, I went in once. I think we talked about once. I went in once one night and we just like turned around and walked right out. Found out later someone got shot there that night.
Restaurant, which is it's actually in my third book. I had to include it.
Right.
It's all Revere. You walk in, it's this sort of windowless building except like the front.
And what we were saying, it's always the
parking lot
always full. Not one person in there.
And so
that you can see.
Chinese food, you go whatever, even though you sort of knew, don't go in this place, but and then you'd walk in the lobby and it was windowless, like you couldn't even enter a restaurant. It's just like just walled, and with a door behind this big Asian man.
Yeah.
And he looked at you like you had 10 heads.
Yeah, like, what are you doing here? Yeah.
But I do recall getting Chinese food there, but I feel like they got it from somewhere.
I think they ordered it from
Yeah.
somewhere else. They brought it in the back and they gave it to you.
Lots of places in Revere, and it's important the setting of places in years.
The setting in time, yeah,
is important.
Very important, yeah.
And Revere and that era, Winthrop, East Boston, all of these places. I mean, Chelsea. This was the height of, well, not the height, organized crime, late 70s, 80s, early 90s.
Things
was
a
bit of a descent.
Yeah.
There was a lot of heat on them then. But the families, the Angelos, the Patriarca family, Whitey Bulger, the Winter Hill Gang, this was all very active, organized crime families still at this time.
Yeah.
So there's a body, a young girl in a trunk of a car.
Right.
I don't know. But how is she connected?
Right, exactly. And yeah. And it was pretty, I think we're going to get into this, but it wasn't, you'd think that they're a little bit more clean. Or you would think, but who knows?
Body in a trunk, but we're not going to find out this in our opinion, and from research and other expert opinions, this was did not seem as planned as one might think.
Right.
But exactly. Could be wrong. This will be up for you guys to decide to. We're getting interpretation. We're getting a lot of real-time information. But Revere at the time where she was found, East Boston, massively, probably more so than Winthrop, where you're from. Revere and East Boston, forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Winthrop tried to pretend it was its own little island in the midst of it. Yeah, it was a little peninsula off them. And I think when I grew up there, I thought it was too, until I got older and realized it really is just kind of, I mean, there might have been a little nuances that were different and things like that.
Went over a hill, but like the same players were right there.
Yeah. People just did cocaine and drank beers at the yacht club instead of doing it on Revere Beach. I mean, it's just different.
But as far as like organized crime and all of that, Revere is very, very in East Boston, very connected, predominantly Italian, Irish as well. Tons of storefronts, tons of fronts. Someone's phone just went off. Oh, I forgot to shut my phone off. I apologize. Ding.
It's usually me. It's not me today.
Well, it's true crime, people. Leave us alone. So, but there was
Crime Friday.
There were tons of fronts, storefronts.
Yeah, Green Spot.
Yeah, I always tell this story. For example, the Green Spot was what was that, North Shore Road on the corner.
Yeah,
and they had all stuff.
Another busy intersection.
Right there. I grew up on the beach right above it, and this busy intersection, all stuffed animals, Elvis busts. There was a sign that said pony rides 5 cents. And there hadn't been a pony in Revere, Massachusetts in 100 years.
No, and then you walk in there and it looks like it's a kid's store. And you walk in and the guy's like, get the hell out of here.
I walked in, there's a guy, big giant guy with a cigar hanging out of his mouth behind a teddy giant teddy bear that's like, get the hell out of here, kids. Like, so
Yeah.
there's a ton of that.
Yeah.
My dad dealt with a lot of blackies. There's like 10 blackies. They're all bookmakers, all kinds of stuff. Cops, Revere police in the 80s, 90s. I'm not gonna say the word corruption, but there's a lot of bad decisions and a lot of shady stories, lots of stuff like that, and not just Revere. The times were the times.
I often refer to my children. I have one son that wants to be a cop and has always wanted to be a cop, and I have one son that I always wanted my older son to be a cop so that he could get the other one out of trouble. I call it the Whitey and the Whitey Billy effect, and because Whitey was Whitey Bulger, if you
Whitey
know.
Bulger, famous. I mean, if you don't
Famous
know.
mobster, yeah. A brother Billy, senator. Was he a senator or
He was the president of University of Massachusetts.
Yeah. And in the background of that, there was one hand's helping the other.
There's a lot of denials there, but
there's speculation, but it's always nice to have someone on the inside.
Yeah. And I think there was a lot of that. The one hand washes the other.
Yeah.
Lots of favors, lots of backdoor deals, all of that. So this was the time. So if anyone was found in a trunk, I think ding ding, ding, you sort of think, what's happening?
You just assume.
Yeah. But young girl, beautiful girl, seemed to have her whole life. Her whole life was ahead of her. Head on her shoulders. All of that. Who could it be? What happened?
Right.
And there was a lot happening. There's
a lot of factors during that time. I often think about it. Okay, if I was an investigator, what would the Occam's razor, the path of least resistance. I hate men, so I just think it's a man. Disclaimer, I don't really hate them.
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe.
On Tuesdays, I hate
don't
you.
listen to
On Fridays, I don't hate you. No, but I think most people that watch Dateline on Friday nights, woman too. It's always the spouse. It's always the
calm down. It's always the man. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I hate
if it was
men,
a woman, it's the man's fault anyway.
Yes.
Just kidding.
And that is a whole other story. Like, I get very upset about that as far as profiteering off of all of these atrocities towards women all the time with these shows, and instead of just looking at the problem. And again, Sue is one of these women that something has happened to, and likely at the hands of a man,
right?
By her injuries, probably, because they were fairly brutal, vicious. Not fairly, very brutal,
right?
Vicious.
So
with force.
So my first thing is always, okay, who was she dating? Who was jealous? Was in an abusive relationship? That's my first thought if I don't know anything else going on.
That's everyone's first thought.
Yeah. Well, aside from if you live in Revere at the mall.
1992.
Yeah. Well, that and the fact, I think not the style, I don't want to say the style of killing, but finding her in a trunk also, you think organized crime. So now we have, a relationship, relationships, organized crime, correct. Random, sometimes it's a mugging gone wrong. It's something.
But as of note, and I wanted to let you guys know this as you just brought this up, Sue was not robbed or sexually assaulted. So that clarifies a lot of things.
Right. Yep. Okay. So right. So if it was a mugging gone wrong, then she'd be missing her jewelry and money and things like that. And maybe her car, which she was actually found in.
But Sue was stabbed multiple times. And I also want to say, stabbing for me, anytime as lay people, I hear the word stabbing, I think of knife.
Right.
And in this case, and we'll get into it further later, that might not necessarily be the case.
Okay.
So that can lead you all different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But not robbed, not sexually assaulted, not stabbed with a knife. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Very odd.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to look into her relationships. I don't know how I'm going to look into organized crime, but I guess I'm going to try to find.
You're not going to look into organized crime. That's what you're going to do.
Right.
That's actually. We were nervous, or we are nervous about this.
I'm not looking into anything. I'm saying if I'm the detective at the time.
Yes.
Yes. I'm trying to find out if she or her family has ties to something like that. but there were also a couple other things going on. We had mentioned that she was passed over for a supervisory role at work.
Yeah.
And she filed a grievance because of that and ended up getting the
In
supervisor.
a male-dominated position.
We also mentioned that she was the first woman supervisor. It was a
For
male-dominated
Northwest.
position, but she also was the first female supervisor.
And I wonder how well that went over.
Right. We know that actually there was some stuff going on in there in the background of her job with that whole scenario.
So
that was
it didn't go over well. Sue had, so we have random crime. It could be organized crime for what reason, who knows? Boyfriend, lover, ex.
Yeah.
But then two other things are happening. Actually, three.
Okay. Oh, right.
That's right.
Okay. Tell them, Diane.
So Sue also, I'll start off with Sue also at the time, she grew up, I don't know what faith she grew up. I'm from a couple people I talked to and from a gift from an ex-boyfriend, a cross.
Yeah, we think it was
Well,
something
trust- I'm
Christian,
assuming
right? Or something
Catholic.
Catholic or something
Christian. She joined a church, the Boston Church of Christ. This was sort of controversial with a relationship at the time that she had with an airport worker. It's questionable that her mother might not have loved this either. And that's not confirmed. This is just some reporting. But she was very coming back to her faith or seeking or trying to get into like
a
this
new faith or some kind of faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this church, we'll deep dive into this and dissect it and all that. But this was and I think this started happening around the spring of 92, and she was murdered in September of 92. So a lot of this was going on in this new way.
Yeah, worthy. I like to call them worthy of mentions.
Yeah, worthy of mentions.
Yeah,
sure,
definitely.
And lots of new friendships, lots of new relationships,
right.
Picnics, volleyball games, all kinds of stuff like that.
Dating. One of the things in the church too was it was a recruiting type church, so a lot of people referred to it as culty.
Well, some people were
yeah.
concerned it was a bit. I don't like to use the word loosely, but cultish, because in speaking to some sources, they did recruit. They wanted you as a parishioner or partaker, whatever they call themselves, to get other people involved. So that didn't go over well for some people, but it's been refuted by. I've spoken to some people that have
were involved in the church.
They do not feel this way about the cult aspect of the church.
Okay.
Then at the same time, there is, again, we said Sue just was a supervisor in this very male dominated position, all big testosterone, a lot of testosterone around.
Yeah. Also the 90s.
Yes. And this didn't seem to be going over well at all. And even much prior to that, there was tons of harassment. And I hate to say normal harassment because there shouldn't be any harassment.
Right.
This superseded any just regular.
This was really, really, really.
It was very intense.
Yeah.
Very bad. Escalating. So many suspects, well, a few suspects, I shouldn't say many, are forming in this harassment.
Yeah.
Getting very angry, women in these positions, filing grievances, lots of things are happening.
And as we know, we talked about Sue is very trusting in authority, black and white, right from wrong. So when things are happening to her, she's reporting them, which,
yes,
as we kind of mentioned before, it's like, the unwritten rules, and although she had every right to do that and she did what she should have and supposed to do, myself, I think I would have been hesitant to do that for fear of retribution. And
I don't know, that sounds like the answer to that, because we're tough girls, I think, we were.
Yeah.
I also I'm street smart, and
there's a balance.
There is a balance, and I'm thinking of my brain back then too.
Yeah.
And even my brain today, dare I say it, I hate to say it, but
no, there's a survival method.
You're not gonna you're not going to mess with me, but I also know enough. I can only do so much because I need to survive in this.
If I'm gonna do something anyways, it'll be backdoor and I'm gonna be reporting it to somebody.
Exactly. And I do
You know.
think sometimes, that is also I think for me at least a product of really how I grew up and where I grew up and things I saw and experienced.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I'm married to someone like this, that if you didn't experience some of these things that or sort of know the real darkness and the shit that can happen,
Yeah, you just report it like you're supposed
you would
to.
report it because that's the right thing to do.
Right, which is what you should be able to do. But
And that is, I want to say, that is not anyone putting what happened to Sue is absolutely not Sue.
oh yeah, this is not victim blaming.
This is not victim blaming, shaming. It's
Yeah.
absurd and atrocious.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying.
Side note, yeah.
This is how it is and how it was, and sometimes I wish
that maybe she didn't. Yeah. And again, we don't know if one has anything to do with the other. But just when you think about stuff like that, I think I would have been afraid. I think because she did report.
It seemed like she did exactly, and just by people who knew her very well, she did what she's supposed to do. And also I will say she knew from what I'm reading, and she knew what she was doing. She was a bit nervous, and we're gonna learn to find out why and in her own writings and her own words, but she moved forward with this. She did have a strong faith. So I think she was, what's right is right. What's right is right. And I can relate to that. I've been that person.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll do some stuff. I'll be honest, even sometimes doing this podcast, because I do feel a bit of a calling to do this because of Joe, and I want, and it's just worked out this way. And I feel like Sue deserves any voice she can get. So just give it. But sometimes I go, oh gosh,
right.
What's out there, what could be involved in this.
Right.
So
right.
You have to, and I do think that's a safe way to be, but sometimes you have to do what you gotta do. I don't know. And
I would never blame
her belief.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's right. She was right.
She's right. Yeah.
So she reported things that happened to her, and there was a lot of things happening to her that were disgusting, absolutely atrocious. And
I think you need to have it beat out of you a little bit to have the mindset we have, and that's the problem.
That is the problem.
You've had authority let you down, and that's the problem. So it wasn't just to flip that on its head and take away the victim blaming is once you've been let down by the reporting, or you've suffered retribution because of the reporting, that's when you don't report.
For all intents and purposes, Sue was let down. But by the union, by the airport, and I don't want to say that full force, but in all of
from
lawsuits, readings, findings, Sue was not protected, and I think we know that, and we've experienced things firsthand. You aren't protected.
Yeah, you
quite often
then too.
So that's the disgusting part of that.
Yeah. So that was a big thing that was going on, and we're going to really do deep dive into that.
We're going to deep dive into that.
And then,
so
every time you think you might have an avenue to go down, because I just want to stick with the husband and the boyfriend, you know me over here.
Make it easy.
Yeah. I mean, and then, it flips to, what about this funky church that we don't want to insult because we don't even know if there's anything bad about it. But then also, what about all this harassment she was suffering? But then also, it's like every time you think you are leading down into the right path, it just, again,
another one opens up.
So then why don't we leave it with the last thing, which really was a huge thing that was going on at the time.
Probably
as
the
well.
most massive to me, and as I'm researching, and you as well, talking to people, and this vast network is opening up.
Yeah.
So at the same time, there is a massive, for couple of years, credit card fraud ring coming out of Northwest Airlines.
At at the same time.
Same time.
Would think.
And credit cards are coming in to be distributed across the state to people. And
Corporate cards.
corporate cards,
Yep.
big money cards, regular cards. And they are getting stolen by who? Who is stealing them? The ramp crew, the baggage.
The
guy.
same place where she was working. I mean, you could not get any more coincidental with all of the things that were going on in this one person's life.
And this is not just a bunch of crew guys just stealing cars. This is
huge.
a vast sort of network of. When I talked to one of the guys involved, he said it was a very disorganized crime.
Yeah.
And then I spoke with someone very close to Sue who said anything like that. Very smart guy who said anyone that says, especially someone that's involved, I'd be suspect of them because if they said something that big was disorganized, I don't think so. Maybe decentralized, but not disorganized.
Well, and I've often said in our talks that they may have the higher ups, the hierarchy of that organized crime may have been like, yeah, but you're getting a kickback somewhere. There's not, this stuff isn't going
If
on.
it's organized.
I think.
If it's full on organized crime.
No, but even if it's not, I mean,
Even if that's not, there's some key players.
Yeah.
That are really running the show here.
Yeah.
And it really rang true. Well, I don't know it to be true, but that made a lot of sense to me.
Me too. Yeah.
And I felt kind of stupid going, oh, I really kind of disorganized. It was just some free for all. Yeah, lasting a couple of years. There was a little bit of organization.
They were getting, someone was getting something to stay out of it. Or they were getting their
someone was running something pretty smoothly, but this is going to cross state lines. This is going to exceed amounts that for 1992 is going to be over $7.5 million that we know.
That's in 1992.
That they know of that they've stolen.
But I mean, that's back
in
then.
92.
So think about $7.2 million now.
Multiple cities with multiple crew members branching out to their crew, and this is a big thing happening.
Yeah, and you're going from a 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kids that they're sending into little stores to do little, test out the car and see if it works to 50, 60.
Yeah, the age groups were very fast, which was wild to me.
They work at the airport, they don't work at the airport, they're South Shore, they're North Shore, they're this, they're that. It's very
and we've spoken to some
people that were directly
right there.
Directly
so
involved. Yep.
This was a huge thing, and this is real time. There's so much more involved in this, and this is a story on its own,
right?
That is involved in this,
right?
And so we're gonna leave it at that. There is a lot to unpack, a lot to unpack, and I think we're gonna do it one by one, and then don't forget this. I mean, this credit card ring. She's 27-year-old girl, single. Some relationships off and on, and some dating here and there. Maybe dated a coworker here. There is a lot of people, a lot of players in the game, lots of.
And then you have to think that there could be randomness to it. Like there's so much.
I can't, please God, no.
So much.
But we have to go down. We're
gonna go through every single avenue. We're gonna try to dissect each individual thing. We're really gonna dive into the harassment. We're gonna dive into the church. We're gonna dive into the credit card rings. We're gonna dive into her relationships that are worthy of mention at this time. And we're gonna pick each one of them apart. Like we said, we're gonna have there were some
couple of guests. We're gonna go through some court filings.
Yep, there was some court
wild court grand jury court filings, indictments. Sorry.
Yeah, there were a couple cases that were indirectly related to this. There was a couple we're going to get into that. So we're going to go into all of this. We're going to we'll post the stuff in the show notes that we refer to when we do those things. We will hopefully have a lawyer on. We'll hopefully have Joe and Sean on.
We have a lawyer on. We're going to definitely have Joe on. Sean's not in the best of health, and this is his baby. Sean has worked this is his whole heart. His whole heart is finding justice for Sue, And I hope he can. I hope he can come on. And I think I'm going to see him this weekend. So,
Yeah.
But we are going to see you next time
Yeah.
on Wicked Honest True Crime. And
Cheers to Sue.
Cheers to Sue.
And staying alive.
Staying alive.
We'll see you
Bye,
next
guys.
Friday.